There is a lack of trust in
Oh, yes,
insurance
there
companies.
is a lack of trust.
Why has that happened?
Because there is a lot of stereotyping and myth about insurance. So I've just given you some facts around that. I think the other issue is just understanding the unique nature of insurance. You pay money for something that only a small proportion of people will ever claim on, actually use. So there's always an issue around, will they pay me or will they not pay me? There's a lot of stereotyping that says, the act of God or the fine print won't apply. But I've just told you, well over 90% of our claims are paid.
Yes,
That's
but
the
then
fact.
It's also a fact too, isn't it, that there are parts of insurance law that are not covered under the Fair Trading Act. And again, Consumer New Zealand wants you included in that. And you
yes,
don't.
I know. And in Consumer New Zealand, what Consumer New Zealand does not understand is that there's two things about insurance. One is the transactional relationship between the insurer and the insured. And there's also the duty of obligation that each insured has to every other insured in that pool of money. And if you cannot represent that risk, so we're talking about disclosure, you're not only doing the insurer, but you're doing all the other insureds in the eye as well. Now, very, very, very few people fall into that category. When it comes to the Fair Trading Act,
Sure.
The definition in that is that the Fair Trading Act applies to insurance, but there are 6 or 7 terms which are deemed not unfair, though Consumer New Zealand describe them as unfair, but they're deemed not unfair because they're deemed to be reasonably necessary in order to provide an insurance policy.
But you can imagine
that is like describing the risk. So you've got to be able to describe under certain circumstances we will pay you, under certain circumstances we won't. There's a sum insured. This is the sum insured we will. So those are the kinds of terms which are quite reasonable. But
you can imagine when you see relatively damning reports on the life insurance industry from the Reserve Bank. There has been critical reviews of insurance in this country, and we know that there are exemptions in the Fair Trading Act. There'll be many people who feel that insurance is getting a too easy ride here.
So we represent general insurers, not life insurers. In the life insurance review by the FMA and RBNZ, they identified some poor practices. Actually, they didn't find problems in the claims area, interestingly enough, since we've been talking about that. Yes, every sector you can look at has poor behaviour issues that need to be corrected and addressed. We are doing it. Everybody in every sector, and the financial sector in particular, needs to be doing that. But is the system broken? Have we got massive problems? The answer is no, we don't. And we should be providing a lot more confidence in our financial institutions than we do at the moment, because they're getting run down a lot and not helping the trust and confidence.
Who's running them down?
Well, there's been a lot of commentary through from regulators, through media, through, I think misinformation from Consumer New Zealand as well.
So you feel that, and this is doing some damage somehow?
Well, I think it's not I don't think it's helping trust and confidence, because you just asked me what are the factors that are affecting trust and confidence.
Trust and confidence is a Royal Commission of Inquiry into the Australian financial system, into banking and insurance companies, which own large swathes of New Zealand's system, which found serious concerns.
Yeah, that's right.
So why wouldn't we be asking those questions
Well,
here?
we did. And that's why the FMA and RBNZ conducted a review of the life sector and the banking sector last year, as you well know. And they found in the life sector some examples of poor behaviour. They've asked for remediation to be addressed in there for the life insurance sector. And we in the general insurance sector are undertaking a very similar exercise, but in a less intrusive way. And we in the general insurance sector have long moved in lots of areas to improve our services to the customer. We have timeframes for addressing complaints. We have timeframes for addressing claims. We have independent oversight of our code.
Credit
everything.
to you, but it's clear the government doesn't feel that way, because it is moving, and MB has done a large review of insurance and is making a number of proposals, some of which you've alluded to, and
which we are all supportive of.
And there's going to be some pretty significant change. So
which we're perfectly supportive of.
So, but doesn't that highlight the point that there have been concerns and there need to be changes?
Yeah, and we want those changes, and we've been advocating for those changes.
What's wrong with people continuing to ask those questions?
There's nothing wrong with them continuing to ask those questions.
Well, you just said that somehow people were running down the industry.
Well, yeah, there have been criticisms of the industry, and you asked me the reasons why people may have trust issues with the insurance sector. I've run through the unique set of circumstances around the product. We do see a lot of highlighting of the aberrant issues that come up, which just reinforce the stereotypes. I mean, that's it. You take it on the chin. But really, this sector does an awful lot in trying to assist customers, and we can demonstrate that through our own code.